You're on 860 WNOV, 106.5 FM, WNOV, Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice Radio. I'm Brian Sanders, Community Outreach Organizer for Wisconsin Voices, alongside my co host.
Yep. Joe Dray, Policy Director for Wisconsin Voices. Happy Monday, everyone. Another beautiful day out there. Excited to get out and enjoy it. If you got the chance, get out there
Yeah.
and get some of them rays, some of that vitamin D.
Yeah. Definitely got out there myself. It was one of those weekends where if you weren't outside, what were you doing?
Right.
I think I spent my time, in between, going to a couple, doing a little festival stuff. Got to attend, Summerfest at least more than once. Did the Juneteenth. And then I went this past Saturday night. Was that Saturday night? Yeah, Saturday night. Went down there. I know a lot of people was down there to see Megan Thee Stallion, so she brought out a big crowd. Everybody was dressed in their uh, Megan Thee Stallionaire outfits in some way or form. We had about a bunch of people down there. I'm not mistaken. I think Spyro Gyro down there. There's a couple folks down there. Uh, you had some events going on across the city. You had a bunch of high schools in Milwaukee celebrating their reunions. So I want to shout out to some of the high schools in Milwaukee and Milwaukee County that was celebrating their high school reunions. Shout out to Rufus King, class of 2005. Shout out to Riverside High School, class of 2005. Definitely got a shout out. Vincent High School, class of 2005. I think y'all were the three that were celebrating y'all, or three or four that were celebrating your high school reunions this weekend. So shout out to the class of 2005, specifically because I am a class of 2005. So shout out to all the class of 2005s in Milwaukee celebrating, whether you were graduating from high school or college. We love to get out here and celebrate. And it's so nice seeing all these groups setting up for their high school reunions. I was looking at some of the people I know, they was doing their thing. Oh yeah, I can't be remiss, and I cannot forget Sherwood High School. Shout out to Sherwood High School, class of 2005 as well. I've seen some cool people this weekend. I want to shout out Ashley Moore and shout out Michaela Levy, two of the people I've seen from class of 2005 that was in town this week. Oh, well, one lives here, but one was in town. So yeah, everybody out there in the mix doing their thing this weekend. It was a lot going on. It was something I think for everybody, whether it's water or if you just want to sit by the beach. I went to the beach yesterday, sat by the beach, had a good time. Just enjoying, the families, watching the families kick it, and definitely caught me some rays, trying to soak it in as much as I can. I mean, it felt so good. I'm more than likely, if I can get some time today, I think I might shoot past the beach later on today. It was just beautiful out. I mean, that Sunday was like the best way to end the Sunday, and I just ended it by hanging out, relaxing, and I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was a wrap up. The wrap up was like the beach for me, and then after the beach, I got me some food. Yeah, I got me some food, and that was it. So a smooth weekend. Events. Taking care of the family and things like that. How about you, Joe?
Yeah. I'm just, kind of like you, just relaxed and enjoyed the weather. Ate some good food as well. Shout out to Apollo Cafe downtown Milwaukee. Fabulous Greek food.
Okay.
Also, I want to give a shout out since we're doing shout outs. Today is my daughter's birthday. It's her 25th birthday. I want to say happy birthday to you, Destiny.
Happy birthday, Destiny. Shout out to Destiny over in Ohio.
Yeah.
Right? Still in Ohio, right?
Still in Ohio.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yep. Want to say happy birthday to her. I can't believe how quick time goes by,
man.
When you're, living life and raising kids, and you do all these things in life. You get your career focused, and it just goes by really, really fast. And I've heard some people say, the older I get, the faster time seems to go. You ever have that, Brian?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel that way all the time. I mean, I look up and I look at my cousins and people I know and their kids and nieces and nephews, and I look at my best friends and their kids. I'm keeping on point in track of ages and all that stuff. But every time I look up, it's like, dude, wait, how old are you now? What? I was tripping off somebody this past weekend. I ran into, or it might have been last weekend. But just seeing this kid, whoever kid it was, I remember it was my old neighbor, Tamika and Tanisha. Their Tanisha's son, Josh. I seen him at Summerfest,
Okay.
and he cut the corner. So I was like, "What's up?" He said, "Oh," he cursed. He said, "Oh, it's Nick." He was like, "Oh, what's up, man?" They called me by my middle name. He was like, "Man, he grew up on the block. He's like family." It made me feel good, but because he didn't forget me, but at the same time, it's like this dude is grown. This dude is like 6'1". It's like my godson. It's like everybody. I turn around, they was like 8, 9 years old, talking crazy to me. Now I turn around, they looking me in the eye,
Right.
But it's good to see these kids are doing positive things. Like
Mhm.
my godson is staying busy. Shout out to Demayan, doing his thing. Shout out to his grandma as well. But all these, that time, like you said, you look up and
It's
you know
gone. I
we
mean, so quick.
we the ones complaining about the hips and and the ankles and all that.
It's already started, Brian.
So
It's
yeah,
already started. I definitely feel it, but
man, you better get down there and stretch, Joe. Look, that's one thing they say, men don't stretch like that. So it's important for men to stretch. We
You're
just get older, we just get tight. And you see all the people. I was looking at a guy last week, the way he was walking. I'm like, no, and then you look at
right.
some of the younger guys too. Younger guys, just
Mhm.
like Jermaine do, just like Byron do. Byron, you young, but you probably know some guys already walking around, limping or not, taking care of themselves in your age group. I mean, it's common now. It's just really people are not taking advantage of their mobility like they supposed to. And as
Right.
we get older, like you said, that time kicks in, and then
Mhm.
we think we got time to. I know my aunt is always reminding my sisters, like, y'all got to get down and work out. Y'all got to stretch out, because if you don't
Yep.
use it, you lose it. And it's real.
That's
I see it with little sports and basketball and even getting on a bike. You can be a little shifty, a little off if you haven't rode a bike. Some of y'all might not have been on a bike since y'all was 17, 18, 19. And then you try to get on a bike at 39, 49, 59.
Mhm.
Your response time is the same. And that's one thing they talk about. This neurologist I was looking at the other week, he
Mhm.
was talking about how their response time changes to
Yep.
things as you get older. So that's why we see people's reaction time, especially our elderly people, their reaction time is off because
Mhm.
as you get older, your brain and the response time changes. So yeah, it's just important to keep using those reflex skills, motor muscle skills, the eye,
Mhm.
what do you call it, the hand-eye coordination,
Mhm.
just to keep the brain sharp.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, you're 100% right. I remember. I'll give a quick story.
Yeah, please.
When I was a sports editor back in Ohio, I was getting ready. It was raining out. It was mid-December, so it was a very cold rain, and I had to run across the street to the parking lot after the game I was covering to get to my car, and I'm like, all right. So I walk out, and as soon as I hit the street, I went to take off and run, and there was nothing there in my knees. Like, it was just nothing there. I fell straight face down into a mud puddle in front of a bunch of people. And, but it was that moment that I realized I'm not 20 anymore.
Yeah.
Like I
that
used to be able to just take off like
yeah,
that, and
yeah.
now it's like now I can't.
Yeah.
Now it's it takes a little bit more. But yeah, we got a caller.
Yeah,
Let's
we
go
got
ahead.
two actually. Let's go ahead. Welcome to Be a Voice Radio.
How you doing, fellas?
Hey, what's going
Doing
on?
well, sir.
This is Rick calling you long distance from Germany, and I'm telling you, in the small village that I live in, people 50, 60, and 70 years old, they take time to ride the bicycle in between the towns that are level, and they stay in shape that way. They walk. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If they're going to the supermarket, if it's local, they walk a few blocks to the supermarket. And I'm very jealous at 59 years of age of a 70-year-old who can still ride a bicycle.
Right. Right.
That's real. So you calling from Germany? Did you say that?
I'm just 15 minutes outside of Munich, Germany.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Thanks.
Wow.
Wow.
Thanks for listening,
International call. Shout out to Munich. Shout out to Germany. I took a little German in school, but yeah, thank you for calling in. I believe that is something to be jealous of. My granddad was one of them that was riding bikes. He used to take us on Lake Drive and have me on the bike rides. And I think about it, he was in his 70s. He was roller skating up into rollerblading up until I would say probably like 75, maybe 78, 79. If anybody that knows my granddad can vouch for that, but I'm sure we was roller skating easily up in his 70s because he had at least 5 or 6 years on my grandparents on my mom's side. But he was the only grandparent I ever went on bike rides with, and was able to get that experience of hopping on. My dad was a trail guy. That granddad was just straight and narrow. He wanted to ride, the beach. He wanted to ride, that I used to get upset because I would ride fast and I would be like a mile and a half ahead of him. So I remember one time he chewed me out for that. But yeah, that was one guy right there that motivated me big time to see, your granddad still riding bikes, and, deep into his 70s, and he used to come pick me up in my latter teenage years at that, and still want to go bike ride. So,
but being from, it was interesting. The caller was from Europe. When I was in Europe, when I was in the Navy.
And thank you for calling again.
Yeah,
too.
thank you so much. When I was over there in the Navy, I got to visit a lot of European countries, and what I noticed as well was that people walked.
Yeah.
When they had to go down to the grocery store, they walked or they biked.
Yeah.
You didn't see that many cars on the street because folks like to get out and walk. But then again, you also have the fact that folks didn't have to walk super far to get to a supermarket or a retail shop or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting, and you saw how healthy the people were over there. Everybody was kind of fit,
extra
in shape.
mobility,
and even the people like we were talking about in the 60s, 70s, and 80s out there riding bicycles, walking, because they've been doing it all their life. They didn't sit around with a phone in their hand and sit, on the couch in front of the TV or in front of the screen. So they've been mobile like that and active all their lives. So it's definitely a cultural thing that we need to change here in the States.
And that's why I am happy that they're trying to make Milwaukee more walk friendly in certain spaces and adding trails and sidewalks in certain spaces. So keep doing that, making it for the people. It looks like we got another caller on here as well. Thank you for holding. I'm sorry about that. Welcome to Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. You're here with Brian and Joe.
Hey, Dray and Bryan.
Hey, what's going on, sir? How you doing? How you feeling?
Well, the last time I called in, I was very embarrassing. So I want to call in to apologize to you, Brian, and to you, Joe.
Oh, no problem. That's all good. We thank you for the apology. No, you was good either way, but thank you for calling and telling us.
No, well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this and let it go. I want to thank you so very much for putting up with my butt, okay? Hey, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Michael, hey, lady.
Yes,
I'm going to leave you alone. I'm going to leave you alone, Joe.
All right.
I'm Marine. But Brian, for real, I just called in to say I apologize to you, gentlemen. I didn't mean no disrespect.
Oh, no,
I'm taking it.
But in a way, gentlemen, I want to say thank you for what you do. I do apologize not only to you, gentlemen. Hey, Joe, Brian, not only to you. I'm apologize to WNOV and the listeners, okay? Because JT get out of order sometimes, okay? I do.
We all do. I think we all
have our moments, JT.
We all do.
But I want to say, though, gentlemen, I want to thank you for doing what you did. Hey, Joe.
Yes, sir.
And Brian, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the student loans, if I may? Now, the student loans, what I mean by that, the Trump administration, they go after everybody and everything, right? But we have veterans, young people that went to college and stuff, do the best they could, like y'all did. And Joe, you've been there and done that. But Joe, come on now. What about the student loans? The student loans, they're going after that. They're going to take that away. The people that did try to do their best they could to go through education and stuff like that, and they're trying to erase all of that and stuff. Joe, hey, Brian, I was just ask you, give me your opinion about that when it comes to student loans. Do you think it would hurt the community of young people that went through, trying to work and stuff like that the best they could and all that kind of stuff? When it comes to taking away student loans, that's my aunt. But I'd like to get your opinion on that, okay? So, and thank you, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. I mean, I can dig into that a little bit. I mean, first you have to look at the unique situation that we're at here in the United States, is where we actually have to pay for our education. A lot, we were just talking about Europe and how things are a little bit different over there. A lot of those countries have access to free education. And I'll make the argument all day long, this is not a partisan issue. Access to quality education is just as important as access to quality healthcare, as access to quality drinking water, as access to quality housing. It's fundamental. We wonder why so many people are can't find a great job, or they don't have the skills necessary to go out and get those high paying jobs. Well, it's because in the United States, we made education so unaffordable that not everybody has the same opportunities to go and gain a skill or gain a college degree or a certificate in something.
Yeah.
So, I think one thing we have to look at is the system as a whole and how it's broken. But as far as the student loans go, man, oh man, I would venture to say that there's not, at least I'll speak for myself. When I was 18 years old, there's no way in my mind I understood what $250,000 worth of debt was for education, because you go through school, and at least in the time that I went, to be told that you're not going to make it unless you go to college. You're never going to amount to much. You're going to be sweeping floors and doing this manual labor stuff. You're never going to get anywhere unless you get a college education. That narrative has kind of shifted a little bit more towards trade schools and again, the certificates and the skills just building skills. But man, what kind of world would it be like if everyone had access to education, to all the education that they wanted? If I felt like I wanted to go out and become a welder, I should be able to go out and pick up that trade and go be a welder and be a productive member of society and make some good money doing it, because that's what I'm interested in. That's what I'm going to be good at. And being able to offer those trainings and to be able to offer that free education only benefits society. And it benefits all of us. So, I would go back to saying that, but again, 18-year-olds are signing up left and right for student loans, and you're signing on for $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 worth of debt, depending on what you're trying to go for. And then, the clock dings and you have to start paying that back. And a lot of times the jobs that you're finding entry level right out of college aren't making as much as you thought they were. I had a lawyer friend of mine that went to college, and he's like, I went to school for 8 years. And I come out of law school, and the first job I get, I'm making $40,000 a year. And all I'm doing is going back in the library and researching. It's not always the perfect scenario. Yes, eventually, you're going to probably become a lawyer to a firm and whatever, and you're going to have all this money, but you have to start somewhere. And sometimes it's not always the best option, because this guy was faced with, $250,000 worth of student loan debt and making $40,000 a year. The math don't math.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out unless you have some of those subsidies in place, or those deferment plans that you can push that back and not have to pay that back right away, or, give you a little bit more time to establish yourself in the job market before those payments come due. But it's a messy and dicey situation with those student loans. I would say that the best solution is to change the system, but
Yeah.
we know how well that's worked in our country's past. So
I agree. I think the student loan it just holds individuals back from getting to the next space in life sometimes. And we've seen it. I've seen it from everybody, myself, individuals, who owe, whether they complete it or not. I definitely think the system is broken. It's been broken compared to, you look at what, a group 30 years before us was paying for college, $7,000-8,000 for 4 years. And now you look at it, I remember even just when I was, trying to get into some schools back in 05 again, it was some of these schools where I know I had friends who were going off to, top notch schools, like a good friend of ours who it ended up working out for her because she picked a great field, but she went to Chapel Hill, and I remember at the time she was talking about 40,000 a year or something like that.
Easy.
You had the schools here, UWM system, 20, 30,000, 10, 15, 20, depending on what type of, grant or scholarship or something that was out there for you. But they still, was a lot for a lot of people. I got, multiple friends and family members and, $250,000, right
Yep.
now,
Yep.
they picked some great careers and they're making really good money. But like you said, it's still up there, $250,000 right now.
But and here's my other question: why are we not taking that money and giving it also to people that want to start new businesses, or want to be in trades, or want to do certain things? It's so easy for us to go, and there's never a problem when an 18-year-old kid wants to go get a student loan for $250,000. It's you can do it at the drop of a hat. Easy peasy. But if you go try to get a $250,000 loan to start your business and your great idea that you have and be an entrepreneur in this country, good luck.
Yeah. Good luck.
Good luck to you.
Right.
There's
When's
not
the last
too
time
many.
you heard getting a $250,000 loan from an 18-year-old? Right, they'll give it to you. They give it to you, all right, in the form of education.
Form of an education. They're not going to invest that much money into you to be an entrepreneur or to start your business up, or to really actually honestly follow your dreams.
It'd be so many new businesses running around the United States if they was like, when you can apply for a $250,000 loan at 18 in the United States.
And we just handing them out like student loans.
Yeah, that'll be an American dream. Help us get to the American dream for real, because we building up new. Obviously, if we've given out $250,000 loans, we're building up new millionaires, or possibly new millionaires and 100,000aires. We creating a bigger economy for new jobs, new opportunities, because everybody's going to be bringing in work. These businesses are going to be starting. That just sounds like a dream. That's a dream, bro.
But we do it every day, Brian. And I guess that's my point is, we give 18-year-olds $200,000 loans for college. And hey, fill out this form and you're good to go. You just show up for your classes and get above a C.
Right.
But we were so hesitant to invest in real people that have real ideas. And good luck investing in, if an 18-year-old has a lawn business and they want to start up or a landscaping business and they want to start up and go buy equipment that's going to cost them $250,000. Like I said, good luck trying to find somebody, unless you have a lot of money for a down payment and a business plan and all this stuff. You're never going to get that loan. No. So it's like, again, if no, this is the reason the bank would give you, is because at 18 years old, you don't know what you're doing. Or that's what they believe. You don't know what you're doing at 18 years old. You have a lot to learn, but we're okay giving it to them
because we're giving it to you a structured system versus you just willy-nilly going out there.
Because we trust you as far as we can control you.
Not the make-believe grants or loans are set up to like, hey, once you get this $250,000, you got to show us the progress towards your business or towards your dream being completed.
Exactly.
Or then you have some issues.
Great programs
there.
That
would be a great program.
I mean, it would cost a lot of money. Yeah, that's for sure. But
oversight of individuals and their programs. They have to find people to watch the young adults. So I guess because it's more structure, giving it to a academic, location like a school or like some expensive program,
stay in line, follow the rules.
Exactly.
And you'll get a reward.
Don't try to go outside the line. Right.
Don't think outside the box. And then we don't need any of that free thinking around here,
Well, for real. That's messed up. Right. We don't need none of that willy-nilly own creative mind stuff. You keep that back. So when we get back, we're gonna get some updates from you.
Yeah, I got a few.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. So we'll be back with Joe and his updates. Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. We'll see y'all in a minute. Well,
Come back.
yeah, we're back. I love having breaks with these guys.
I know.
I got to shout out the WNOB staff, everybody up in here doing their thing. Shout out to Byron in the mix. Shout out to Jermaine in the building doing his thing. Thank y'all for making this look and sound good. For sure. We're going to swing it over to Joe
Yeah.
because he's going to give us some political.
Just a few
political
today. I'm not going to dig.
updates.
I'm not going to dig in too deep today.
Okay.
Just one of the things I know it's a big story. It's a big thing that's going on right now is the big beautiful bill that's going through
What's that?
the U.S. Senate, which is the big budget
Bill from that's for the people who haven't been paying attention. What should they know about the big beautiful bill?
Well, I have a list of some of the cuts that we're likely going to see from if this passes.
Okay.
So just want to remind folks that this is Medicaid reductions totaling approximately $800 to $880 billion over the next decade. So even though that this bill's going through and it's a budget bill, this is going to have some long-term repercussions. Coverage losses projected to be about 7.8 million Medicaid enrollees will lose their coverage. Stricter eligibility measures, 80 hours of work service per month requirement, plus frequent recertifications every 6 months. So yeah, there's going to be some work requirements that come along with benefits as well, and for health insurance. And my question is most of the people that are on Medicaid are elderly or disabled. Now, how are these folks going to get out there and work 80 hours a month? I guess that's kind of my question, but I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
There's a number of things also. SNAP, which is the food assistance program, they're looking at $230 to $300 billion in cuts over the next 10 years. Expanded work requirements to include adults up to the age of 64 and parents of older children. Also see hits to the states, anywhere from 5 to 25% on program administration cuts. Also other notable cuts, Medicare reductions, obviously, and then cuts to developmental disabilities and other social services, including things like the West Virginia, their disability programs, and DEI aligned health centers. Also seeing the clean energy tax rollback, although the Senate has reversed some of these things. I think this has been the big sticking point throughout this whole bill, is you have a lot of senators and a lot, even when it was in the House, a lot of members of the House that have to go back to their districts and answer why thousands or tens of thousands of folks in their district no longer have health insurance, or why there's a work stipulation on someone that physically can't work. So a lot of questions to be answered, I think, by our lawmakers. And 2026 is going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be interesting politically, and as far as in the elections, just seeing what the pushback may be on things like this. I mean, you start taking away healthcare, you start taking away people's food. There ain't a lot more you can take away from them.
Yeah, that's it right there. I mean, the necessary things needed to survive. So yeah, thank you for the updates. Anything else in there that you feel that has been oh, there we go. I see one right there. What are they saying about SNAP?
Yeah, I talked about that a little bit, but that that was a SNAP. Yeah, $230 to $300 billion of cuts over the next 10 years. And it's also going to have an expanded work requirement to include adults up to age 64 and parents of older children are going to have to work in order to receive their SNAP benefits. And it looks like if it aligns with the same one with Medicaid, we're looking at 80 hours a month of some kind of work. Or I think that they're looking at services like you can volunteer in your community for your SNAP benefits. Yeah,
So the proposal seeks to expand work requirements for SNAP to expand work requirements. This will raise the age limit for mandatory work requirement from 54 to 64 and extend them to parents of children, like you said, age 7 or older. The Thrifty Food Plan freezes something called the Thrifty Food Plan. Have you seen that? TFP?
I've heard of it. Definitely heard of it.
Oh.
Here's some other cuts. I just saw one that grabbed my eye. Maybe I'll come back to it, but yeah, there's a lot of cuts in this. You know, and you have to ask the question, Brian, is this the best time to do these cuts? You know, I understand trimming back. I understand streamlining some things to make them more efficient and maybe save some money. But when you start cutting food and healthcare to folks at a time when we're coming out of, we're still coming off that COVID slump. We're still fighting the big inflation that we saw in the last couple of years. We've seen a lot of government job cuts. There's a lot of folks out there looking for work.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder how much pressure the folks can take before they break. You know, you start backing people into a corner, and it doesn't always turn out well, historically speaking. It doesn't always work out so well. So yeah, a lot of different cuts. Last I checked, it was still being debated. That was a little while ago. Last I checked, they were still on the floor in the vote-a-thon, I believe is what they were calling it.
Oh, really?
That has been going on for quite a while now. So
yeah. So other things I kind of, you know, I see where we see some increases as well. Increased funding for enforcement. The bill reportedly is providing a significant infusion of funds, around $350 billion for border and national security, including for deportation. Some of this will be paid with new fees charged to immigrants. So you plan on charging people fees?
Well, you know, and what you're seeing is a redistribution of resources. Essentially, this is what you're seeing. Instead of money that was set aside to go to pay for health care, to pay for food, to pay for disability things with disability, to pay for these programs that actually help Americans survive every day. They're being shifted to things like tax cuts for the wealthy, the military, and border security. And Brian, how many times have we talked on this show about budgets? When we talk about budgets and we talk about how much the U.S. spends in military funding, now we're going to spend more.
Yeah, that would technically put it over. I mean, we talk about that 800 something billion we spend, and you know, the last count I believe was like 800 and what was it, like 69 billion on defense. Let me see, latest defense budget spending.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a huge portion.
Now you're talking about another 350 billion on top of that. So the latest proposed defense budget, just like I was saying, this new national defense budget, which requests a total of $1.1 trillion.
Yeah.
So this figure includes 848.3 billion for the Department of Defense's discretionary budget, 113.3 billion in mandatory funding for Department of Defense through congressional reconciliation. And then you got some allocations within this proposed budget, which include $25 billion for the Golden Dome of America Comprehensive Missile Defense Initiative. We have $60 billion going for nuclear enterprise modernization, $3.1 billion for F-15EX Eagle II fighter jet production, $3.5 billion for the Air Force's F-47 next generation air dominance fighter jet platform. Sounds like a video game around here. Funding for 19 new Navy battle force ships. New battleships. We were already put out like 5 or 6 in the last like 10 years or
Well,
so.
if
Or
they're
less.
doing battleships again, they've done it. They did away with battleships many, many years ago. Back when I was in the Navy, they quit. We quit making them. We quit. There was actually
So what's some
none
new
left.
ships they've been putting out there? They got one was named like Milwaukee. Those are kind of like reconnaissance type of like.
Yeah, I mean, you have like destroyers,
Yeah.
frigates, two different types of cruisers, submarines. Obviously, carriers are the most popular. But yeah, there's all the
battle
Navy.
force.
But
so they want to bring in new battle. So they want to bring in battle forces back, battleships back.
if they bring battleships back, that was quite. Have you ever seen one of those from back like in World War II when they get the whole ship rocks back and forth because them guns are so big going on?
Yeah,
it's kind of neat to see. I'm not gonna lie, but no, I
mean
on
videos pretty time.
You know, it's more spending in an area where we already dominate the market by an ocean. We dominate the world in military spending and our technology, and we feel the need that we need to spend more and find new ways to drop bombs on people and terrorize foreign countries.
So I see this one conversation. Yeah, so I see this one conversation still hasn't went out the window. 6.5 billion for conventional and non-hypersonic munitions, and $3.9 billion in hypersonic weapons. And then of course they wanted this last one, $15.1 billion for cybersecurity.
Have you seen the hypersonic missiles?
Yes.
Is that not crazy?
I've been on the hypersonic missile like trajectory as far as like paying attention to them since like 2012, 13. When I was, man, nuts. Yeah, that's all I can say. I don't, I guess
you have no idea it's coming for you.
Yeah, I mean, none whatsoever.
No.
I mean, like something that could get around the world in less than an hour.
Right.
Is insane.
I mean, yeah, it's utterly, it is absolutely insane. We've seen, some of them used on the battlefield and against, in Ukraine and I believe also, Iran and Israel. We've seen some of those hypersonic missiles, but it is just, it's insane. And, it never ceases to amaze me how we can come up with so many different ways to kill one another.
Yeah. So for people who don't know what me and Joe are talking about, because y'all probably sitting here like, what is they talking about with this hypersonic? What? Yeah, let me break it down for you real quick. A hypersonic weapon is a weapon that can travel and maneuver significantly during atmospheric flight at a hypersonic speed, which is defined as above Mach 5 times the speed of sound. So here's a breakdown of the key characteristics that define hypersonic, and this is the reason why we're sharing this with y'all, because this is where your money will be going to. Extreme speed. The most fundamental characteristic is their incredible speed, exceeding Mach 5. Joe, what is Mach 5 by speed? Can you pull it up for us?
Yeah, I can pull that up
so people can understand, because for non-flying and non-speed folks, they probably want the details. But Mach 5. So the Mach 5, this allows them to cover vast distances in a minute, significantly reducing reaction for adversaries. Maneuverability, like traditional ballistic missiles that follow a predictable parabolic trajectory, hypersonic weapons can actively maneuver throughout their flight within the atmosphere. The ability to change course makes them extremely difficult to track and intercept by current missiles defense systems. So we looking at far speed.
Yeah. So Mach 1 is 761 miles per hour. So Mach 5 would be 3,805 miles per hour.
Okay.
6,125 kilometers per hour. And that's at sea level, because things, as you travel through the atmosphere or air. Yes. That's roughly 1 mile per second. And so here's some context. Most commercial jet liners use go Mach 0.8 to 0.9. The Concorde topped out at Mach 2. So hypersonic weapons and vehicles aim to sustain speeds of Mach 5. There's some China and the US are the two that actually have those that can actually go Mach 5.
Yeah,
they have some of the two fastest missiles in the world.
Okay. Looks like we got a caller while we over here talking about hypersonic missiles. Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. Good morning to you. Happy Monday.
Yes, sir. Good morning to you, and because it's not noon yet. And thank you for taking my call. Assalamu alaikum to you all. Actually, my call will probably be more relevant to Mr. Harris's dispensation of information. But although here's somewhat of my first question. you all are literal, tangible beings, right? You can see, touch, hear, smell, and actually feel the energy of each person that is within your proximity in the studio, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Exactly. You're close. That means you're near one another.
Right.
With regard to the actual taking up of space, there are tables and microphones and things like that. These are things, literal things are that are composed of materials that were produced by the hands of manufacturers. So when I was listening earlier, and there was a person that referenced Ephesians 6:12, when the scripture says, "We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but against principalities and rulers of wickedness in high places in this world," or something to that effect. And I could actually uh, pull it up, or speak it verbatim. But my point to this is this, or to what I just spoke with regard to that. If you are a literal, intangible being, I mean, being to be is to exist. Um, if you are not animated, which human beings are animated, and we possess the power at will to produce what we desire to come into existence, if we possess the means and the ability to do so. So when I hear people talking about warring with principalities and things that are not those principalities, who are in high places, who are rulers, they are not balls of nothingness. They are literal beings who have the ability to think and process thought and then apply their thoughts to impose their will. And that's where you were talking about, what you all were speaking about, things that are taking place. So I think that we should try to come out of the intangible and actually be observant of the literal, and learn to comprehend what is matter of fact, because that's where we are right now. And the time and what must be done demands that we dismiss fantasy and accept reality. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that call. We're going to take a quick break. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Yo, what's up? I like this view. Shout out to Byron with this nice view. Yo, we back on Be Your Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. You know what I'm saying? We back in the studio. We just wanted to talk about a few topics that we thought were, funny. I want y'all on this. Doom. Malik Beasley. Did you hear about it? Did you hear about it?
Yeah, that's wild.
Did you hear about it?
Hey, man.
Malik Beasley was throwing the games on us, huh? I got a clip that was sent to my phone.
I just seen one when he's playing defense.
Yeah. Did you see? I mean, that I seen.
Yeah,
you see it?
playing defense.
Yeah. He was stuck there.
That cat stood there for like.
And you know
3
what's
seconds.
crazy? I remember that play.
I do too.
And I thought it was weird. I was like, why is he? You never in your mind want to go that route. But now I got to go back and look at that whole season. Now I got to go back and look at that whole playoff run.
Man, yeah,
I got to
like
look at
them
every
shots that
play.
he missed.
Yes, because I was thinking, because even during that, I think we even made comments like during that season, like, man, dude usually be hitting. He ain't really hitting nothing like that.
Yeah,
he hit like 2 or 3 threes that meant something during that series. So we got to go now. I'm gonna go back and research that. So the accusations, if you haven't seen yet, is that Malik Beasley, who was a former player for the Milwaukee Bucks, pretty much was what are they saying? He was pretty much throwing the games.
Investigating on betting on games and things of that nature. First of all, it's a fine time for something like that to actually come out about him because he was getting ready to sign a $42 million
3-year, $42 million contract.
So yeah, it always seemed like when there's money involved like that.
Yeah, something pop up. Yeah. They want to make sure you playing fair. Somebody like, you know what? We're about to go ahead and give him back. Let's check it out. So the allegations reportedly stem from the 2023 NBA season when Beasley played for the Milwaukee Bucks. Prominent U.S. sports book noticed unusual surge in betting interest on Beasley's individual statistics, such as rebounds per game starting January 2024. For example, in January 31st, 2024 game between the Bucks and Portland Trailblazers, the odds on Beasley recording less than 2.5 rebounds moved significantly before the game, going from around plus 120 to negative 250 after the under received a high amount of action. Beasley recorded 6 rebounds in that game. It's important to note that Malik Beasley has not been charged with any crime at this time. So his attorney has stated that investigation is not a charge and that Beasley is afforded the same right to the presumption of innocent as anyone else under the U.S. Constitution. So the NBA has confirmed that it's cooperating with the federal, because this is federal prosecutors' investigation. Beasley's most recent team were in talks for a new contract, just like Jermaine had just said. This is not the first time Beasley has faced legal issues, but of course he has some other stuff going on that's unrelated to this. But this one right here is pretty significant, especially if it has something to do with the Milwaukee Bucks. So, anytime you see any point shaving or any spread stuff looking weird, and then it's concentrated now back on the hometown team when we was already struggling in the playoffs already. So.
Yep, did sign Bobby Portis today, by the way.
Yes, shout out to Bobby.
3 years, baby.
BP.
Want to also just mention, briefly, maybe we can talk a little bit more on tomorrow's show, a little bit about it, is the violence that's been going on across the city. Unfortunately, we had two more officers shot. One passed away on the 29th. And we want to push, issue our condolences from Wisconsin Voices and from WNOV out to that officer's family. But it's a reminder that we need more funding for violence prevention in the city. We need it across the city. We need to do what needs to be done to put a stop to this, because enough's enough.
Absolutely, I do want to send out my prayers and condolences on behalf of Wisconsin Voices to the Corridor family as well, Officer Corridor's family, and a speedy recovery on the gentleman, the other officer who was shot as well. Just want to make sure that we over at Wisconsin Voices are sending our love to you and the whole entire Milwaukee Police Department and local agencies that were in support this past weekend with such a serious situation that has happened in our city. Tomorrow we will be having somebody on from that has been working within the not the Office of Violence Prevention, but working in just violence prevention and working with a lot of the community in his space. And he'll be coming on tomorrow to speak about it, and we could definitely talk more about
absolutely
from that angle as well. So
so tune back in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Same time, same place, right?
Yeah, same time. I think so. Unless
unless they up and move on us.
Yeah,
at the last minute. Show up and Jermaine's gone. I don't know what to do. We'd be lost.
All right. So tomorrow we got that. We got the guest with Mr. Reggie coming on tomorrow. We might have some updates. I'll see if they want to call in or if they want to come in the studio. MKV Revitalize. I know they got some things going on. You know, for our people that like to get out there and help build or do some things, they like having individuals come volunteer. So if you want to get out there and volunteer with MKE Revitalize, holla at them. We'll of course keep bringing you updates with what Wisconsin Voices is doing. We're working on things, just keep continuously bringing in our partners and make sure that we are impacting the proper spaces. So I just want to thank everybody for listening to us and tapping into Wisconsin Voices. And,
thank our callers
Joe,
today too. Thanks to our callers today, Brian.
Mhm.
They're great callers with some great
Thank y'all.
questions and comments, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all for listening to us, man. It's a lot of love. So on that note, we'll definitely make sure we keep bringing y'all new information. Tomorrow we'll make sure we have some great topics for you. So anything else, Joe?
Nope, that's it. Have a great day, everybody.
Absolutely. Enjoy the weather. B Voice Radio, Wisconsin